tell you. Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, he's with us this morning. He has an opinion piece in the Washington Times. As I understand it, he says that young people were basically tricked into voting for President Obama a couple of times over. Charlie, welcome to the program. I take issue with that.
Okay.
I don't think young people were tricked in any sense of the word. I think young people wanted free birth control for women. I think they wanted gay marriage. I think they wanted the legalization of marijuana. And I think they thought that President Obama would deliver in those areas and the Republican candidate would not.
Right, so I'll agree with that. But even deeper, I think they were sold more on the style and the substance. And the main three things affecting young people right now, let's say student loans, unemployment, and the NSA. Those are three trigger things. Obama's delivered on really what we thought the policies would be enacted there. Obamacare is devastating my generation. They don't want their cell phones being listened to. They're being bankrupted by student loans. So essentially what I detailed in the piece in the Washington Times is what I said. These young people were tricked, hypnotized by the gay marriage rhetoric, by the style over substance, when in reality the substance is bankrupting my generation.
Okay. Let's suppose that there was a vote taken today amongst young people, and I'm young people under the age of 30, right, shall we say, okay? You're 20, under the age of 30. Do you think that if it was President Obama against a generic Republican candidate, that Republican candidate would win with those young voters? Do you really?
That's a wonderful question. I would say it would be very close. I still think Obama, unfortunately, if it was in a candidacy type thing, he would win. And
do you
why
think
is
it's changing? Is
I
there
think
a
it is
swing
changing.
away from the president?
I definitely think it's starting to swing, but I think it's incumbent on the other person to be able to sell themselves in an American Idol type fashion like Barack Obama did. Mitt Romney did not sell himself in an American Idol type fashion. He treated it as if they wanted young people to invest in him like a stock. Barack Obama didn't sell himself like it was a stock. He sold himself like he was running on American Idol.
What about, though, too, Charlie, because we've heard the saying, it's been around for a long time, if you don't vote Democrat when you're young, you don't have a heart. If you don't vote Republican when you're older, you don't have a brain. The idea that these kids just haven't lived life, that they don't have a mortgage, that they don't, you know, that a lot of the...
Yeah, you don't pay taxes when you're 25.
You don't pay taxes. Right. You don't, a lot of the problems in this country, they don't feel. They don't even realize their percentage or their burden of the debt that they're carrying. They don't even feel it. They don't know it.
Yeah, and a lot of these things have been punted away from them. Look at Obamacare. They don't have to get on the health exchanges until they're 26, and the increased entitlement mentality. But to your point, you know, I think we're starting to see a change because of Obamacare. I mean, a lot of these young people over 26, I mean, the administration is not afraid to say, we need young people to pay for this thing or else it's going to explode. I mean, they're not afraid to say that. And a lot of young people are saying, wait a second, I have to pay inflated premiums for something I'm not going to use to support older, sicker people, and a lot of young people just can't afford it. When you really think about it.
So you think that the two issues which will move people away from the president are, number one, Obamacare, and number two, NSA spying,
NSA snooping. And again, it's not a Republican or Democrat thing. You're seeing a lot of cross-political lines of people saying, I support it or I don't support it. And coming into the midterms, it's really going to be an interesting dichotomy of which party's going to be able to get a substantive message to go to young people over the cell phone.
Sure this is not wishful thinking, Charlie? Because I know that one day you want to be the Republican candidate for Congress, then the Senate, and then the White House.
Oh,
I know you do.
I do think there's a lot of trends going that if the GOP in 2014 can make the sales pitch, there could be a lot of swing towards the GOP.
What's the reaction when you go on a college campus and you speak and you talk about being a conservative?
Yeah, it's so funny. You know,
Did they throw you out?
Yeah, no, almost. I was at NYU the other day, and a lot of these young people, they say, I've never heard the message of free markets and capitalism in a moral sense. Like,
well, wait a minute.
Help people.
Were you speaking in a public forum?
Oh, yeah, you know, kind of like in a debate type setting.
Really?
And a lot of these young people approach me. These are smart kids, and they say, really? Like, capitalism can help people? You know, it's the funniest thing in the world. Like, free markets are
really?
good. Oh, I'm not.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding, because I mean, Adam Smith is not taught in you know, in the high school.
You're so right, and the moral dimension of this is not spoken to. We talk about it on this show. Steve Forbes talks about it.
Yep.
There's a moral case of capitalism and the free market, and nobody, or very few on the conservative side, actually make the moral case, whereas the liberals always try to cast their socialist policies in some sort of moral
They take
argument.
the moral high ground.
Every time. And you know, these...
Well, it's all lies, but they do try to cast it in emotional and moral terms.
Welcome back, Monica.
You're welcome.
And the young people, you know, they hate poverty. The best way to eradicate poverty is through free market capitalism, and that's a winning message, raising people's standard of living. And if you look at just at the iPhone, you know, we started to get cell phones when they were like those huge Nextel razors, and in our lifetime, we've seen the innovation throughout, and now we have iPhones. And young people are like, yeah, my standard of living did get better because of trade and capitalism, innovation. And that's a way that we can reach out to younger people from a moral type premise.
You remember those big brick lights?
I remember those brick things, you know, this big. My dad had one. You got to like punch it in when, you know what I'm talking about. But now everything, everything, the CDs, your MP3s, all in one device, it's revolutionary.
What would you say if when I went to college there was no such thing as a computer, a fax machine, a cell phone, cable
Telephone,
TV.
paved roads.
Stop it.
Okay, I'm just...
We had a couple of paved roads in London, by the way. That was what it was like in my day, young man. You ain't seen
Well,
nothing.
we could thank capitalism for all those
Yes,
things being put together.
thank you, thank you.
That's the message that we need to take.
Didn't he cap it off nicely there?
Beautifully.
Charlie, welcome back. Good to see
Thank
you. Wait for it. A ghost ship adrift in the Atlantic, crewed by cannibal rats, heading towards England. I am not making this up, and I will explain it next.
Hat-maker Vincent Brimble prospered in the town of Haddington. Never flashy, he only made the classic bowler. Then suddenly the day's trend became preposterous.